Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another movie news segment. We've had a lot of these recently, and today we got even more news for the rest of the week. So the past two videos I've done are all movie news, and this one's going to be the same thing because there's just so much going on. If you want all of the movie news that have been going on the past week, make sure you go back to the other videos and look through those and see if there's anything that sticks out to you. But today, the main topics that we're going to be talking about today is actually the Marvel project that I'm actually somewhat excited for, Harry Potter details that I'm actually not excited for, and then we're setting the record straight with the Star Wars universe and all the announcements that came up with that. There's going to be so much more that this video is probably going to be about an hour long. So make sure you grab some popcorn or grab something to eat while we talk about all of this, because we are going to get into a lot of information. Most of the projects that we're going to be talking about today are going to be ran through pretty fast. I'm going to give you the main points, the main information, but if there's a topic that you want to hear more about, please tell me in the comments below what you want to see and what you want to hear more about. I'll try to make a short about it this week and post it on either TikTok or YouTube. You can follow me on all of that stuff. So if there's something that you want to hear more about, please list it in the comments below. And without a further ado, let's get into some movie news. Starting off with today's segment, we actually did get word that Pixar's new film called ELIO has actually been delayed for a week. Now, there's not really one big reason for this. I believe when I looked at the schedule that How to Train Your Dragon was supposed to come out the same week as this movie. So they pushed it back 1 week to actually June 20th, 2025 instead of on June 13th, 2025. So that is a very quick and simple movie news subject. If you want to hear more about it, again, listen in the comments below. But are you excited to see ELIO, or are you kind of nervous about it? Because this movie has been delayed quite a couple of times now, and is it going to be actually good? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Quickly moving right along, we actually got our first look image of Jack Ryan, the movie for Amazon. Now, there is no information on whether this is going to be a theatrical release or an Amazon Prime movie straight to services. But we did get confirmation that this movie is happening and they are filming it in Dubai currently. If you've seen the movie or the show, are you excited for this one? Is it worth a sequel, or do you kind of wish they ended it with the show? Let me know in the comments below. Moving on to the next topic, we're going to be talking about the new Street Fighter project. This movie's been stuck in development for years, and so we finally got an update on the director for this film. It looks like, and forgive me if I mispronounce this, it's Katayo Sakurai, and I did look through his IMDb just to see what he's worked on in the past to give you guys the more information, and it looks like he's really only done 4 episodes of Twisted Metal. Now, he does have other projects that he's worked on, but the Twisted Metal project is the thing that he's worked on the most. I have not seen the whole Twisted Metal show. I know they're coming out the second season very soon, but let me know if you've seen the show and know what episodes he's done. Is he a good director? Is he worth handling the Street Fighter franchise? I'm not really excited for this film, but if he is a good director and they cast people that are worthy of it, I think this could be a potential win for him and maybe for the audiences that have been waiting for this project for a long time. Let me know what your thoughts about this new director are in the comments below. Moving on to a project that not a lot of people are talking about, but is kind of super important when we look at movies in this way. We are getting a reboot of Narnia from director Greta Gerwig, who has done the Barbie movie in the past. And a couple months ago, when she was talking to the press about this new movie, she said that this would be more of a rock and roll type of Narnia and a completely new adaptation of the book, which really got me nervous because realistically, we've only seen a couple of the stories from the books. I don't think we need a new adaptation. I just think we need a faithful adaptation. Instead, she is going the rock and roll new adaptation look. And honestly, I am not excited for this project at all. Again, they should have just stuck with the old things, but it does look like they are planning for a huge franchise out of this. They said that they're looking to plan 8 movies of the Narnia franchise, and this was from the IMAX owner, CEO. So there's a lot going on there. I'm not really happy about it, but if you've read the books, what are your thoughts? Because this seems like just a new adaptation. I don't think we need. I think we need a faithful adaptation. But I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below about the Narnia movie. Now, for those of you that have a Netflix account and actually like action movies, there is a movie on there called Extraction that stars Chris Hemsworth. They've actually done 2 of these movies so far, and apparently it's been going well because Netflix just came out and said that they're going to make a spin-off series starting in the Extraction world, and this is going to be with actor Omar Sy, and he'll star in the lead role. We don't really know what this is, but if you like action movies, it is a solid franchise from a streaming service, and so I would recommend giving it a look if you like action movies. If you don't worry about it, but they are making a spin-off show of the Extraction franchise. Are you excited for this show, or do you think they should have just stuck with the Chris Hemsworth movies? The next project we're going to be talking about is actually one of my favorite childhood movies that I watched when growing up. I watch it at least once a week, it felt like, and the project, of course, is Holes. Holes was one of those films that were just really amazing for me as a kid, and I really enjoyed the story and the adventure that they put us on, and so I rewatch this again every week, and it looks like we are getting a reboot series from director Jack Schaefer. She's gonna at least be filming the pilot. It doesn't mean that she's gonna be doing the whole show, but it does look like Jack Schaefer, who has done WandaVision and Agatha all along, is gonna do the pilot, and she makes everything magical, and that's kind of her vibe when she's been working on past projects. So if she can make this and the environment really well done, I'm excited to see this because I think it'll be the best Disney Plus series that we've had that's not a part of the MCU or Star Wars. So I am actually interested in this project. Hopefully it goes well, or hopefully they just kind of revise it just a little bit to make it a better show. Let me know in the comments below, do you like the original Holes, and are you excited for this reboot? Another really quick snippet that we actually got this week was that there's actually been a development on White Chicks 2. This came from Marlon Wayans, who is one of the guys that have starred in this film, and he said that he's going to be working on it right after he finishes Scary Movie 6. I really don't know where they're going to go with the story on this one, but if you like the original one, are you excited for this one, or do you think they should have just kept it the single movie itself? Let me know, because I really don't have an option or an opinion on this. I just know that a lot of people might either love this or hate it. When you're talking about heist films, a lot of people will go on record and say that the Ocean movies are one of their favorite heist films ever. And actually, we're going to get a sequel to those movies as well. And this one actually came from George Clooney himself. He gave us this idea, and it says right here that this film is actually a new movie, and it's about being all too old to do the jobs we used to be able to do. And so he went on and said that Brad Pitt was actually going to be the co-leader of this film, co-star of this film. He's going to be a part of it, which means I think they're going to bring back the rest of the cast and then add in a couple of new faces. But that is something that is going on. We are getting an Ocean's sequel. What are your thoughts? Now for a franchise I really never understood or will ever understand, we are actually getting a Masters of the Universe movie, and we actually got a first look of the image. If you can see here, it's actually just his sword and his arm, and you can kind of look closely and see that the armor that he's wearing is mostly accurate to the sword. Now, I really never cared about the original show. I haven't really watched it either, so I'm sure it's good. I'm sure that people are going to love this film, but I'm just more intrigued because of all the casting. Like, we have Jared Leto, aka Morbius, starring in this movie as the villain. I'm sure he's a good actor when he actually gets a good script, but the past couple of times he's been done dirty. Plus, the story of this one is actually where the He-Man himself crashes down on Earth when he's 10 years old. Then he gets acclimated to our world, and then he learns out that he has a better destiny and that he's going to go back to his own world and fight for his people and gain his power as He-Man. So, yeah. I'm not a huge fan of fish out of the water stories, but this one is going to happen. Let me know if you're interested in this movie at all, or if you've seen the original show. The next movie we actually got to talk about, and this is one that we always keep talking about because there's always something new, and that is The Odyssey. We did get a couple behind the scenes snippets where Christopher Nolan is on set, and it seems to everyone on the internet that they are going to be filming the Trojan horse scene, which will be really cool, especially when Christopher Nolan does that. I think it'll be very well done, and I'm excited for this movie. The more and more details that we get, especially with the cast and everything, it's going to be well done. Are you excited to see this scene on the big screen like I am? Moving on to my most guilty pleasure show ever, and I'm going to get a lot of crap for this on the internet, but I actually love The Walking Dead. I know not a lot of people do, just because it's fallen off so hard, but I've stuck with it the whole show so far, except for Fear of the Walking Dead, but I have watched all the sequel series after that. So we've seen the Dead City, we've seen the Ones Who Live, we've had the Daredevil show, but we're gonna get ready for Dead City Season 2, and the release date right here says May 4th of this year. Now this does take place in New York with Maggie and Negan, and I didn't particularly love the first season. I'm kind of hoping that they honestly start wrapping things up and just making one more episode or season where everyone gets back home and they all have a happy ending. But you never know. I just love this franchise as a whole. So I will be seated on March 4th for Dead City. What are your thoughts on the Walking Dead universe? Again, I get so much crap for it, but I've read all of the books and I love those characters. So, what are your thoughts? Now for a project I can't believe that is actually happening or actually being in development right now, we got A24's Barney live action film. Yes, this is the purple dinosaur Barney, and what's actually happening is that David Calicula from Get Out, which was one of my favorite movies ever, is actually producing this film under A24, and so we actually got information that the girl from The Bear, yes, Ayo Edebiri, is actually going to write the scripts, and she potentially might star in the film. I have no idea what this monstrosity will look like. I trust those people writing the script and producing it, but I'm just curious on what an A24 Barney movie is, especially when A24 is typically more of a thought-provoking studio at its best. So I am kind of worried for this project. However, I'm only intrigued because it's A24 doing this film. If it was any other studio, I would just think this is dumb and it's going straight to service, but A24 doing a Barney movie. Are you weirded out by this? Are you excited about this? I want to know your thoughts because I would not have thought this was ever going to happen. Percy Jackson Season 3 is actually underway. It has not been renewed for a third season just quite yet, but the writer team is returning right now to actually write the third season of the show. So we still have to wait for the renewal of the series after they get done with this current season. I'm interested to see if it actually does get picked back up. I think it will. I don't think that they'd ever cancel the show like they have done with other shows in the past, but the people writing the second season are back for the third season right now, and they're writing it over the Titan's Curse, which is the third book in the franchise. Let me know, are you excited to see this story on the TV, or are you just kind of wanting the series to be done at this point? If you like The Boys and the Supernatural show, there has actually been more casting for these Supernatural characters. Those of you who know, Jensen Ackles is actually a part of the original Supernatural show, and so we actually got 2 more members added on to the show as well, and this is actually Jared Padalecki and Misha Collins. They are joining the cast of Season 5 of The Boys in an undisclosed role, so we don't know what particular role they're playing. They could be villains, they could be heroes, but either way, there is going to be a lot going down with these 3 actors in this new season, and it's nice for all the people that love this show Supernatural to see this reunion. Tell me, are you a fan of this show Supernatural? I never watched it, and I never really cared to, but if you did watch it, are you excited for the return for all of your characters in one show? For those of you who actually liked the original Star Troopers movie or show, I wouldn't know, I never watched it, but you are getting a remake of that movie over at Sony, and honestly, there is not much more information than that other than you're just getting a remake. I think they're still in really early development with this project. There's probably not going to be news about it for a little while, but just so you know, that is at the works at Sony right now. Quickly hurrying on, The Bear is returning for its 4th season. They're actually begin filming this week, which is really exciting because I do love that show. It is one of the best TV shows in a while, and if you haven't watched it, start watching it now because the 4th season, we don't have an official release date, but you will want to be caught up for it. There is going to be a lot happening, and I can't wait for the show to return because it is one of my favorites. If you've seen The Bear, tell me, what is your favorite moment, or what are you looking forward to in this next season? Now, this next piece of information on the list actually surprised me a whole lot because yes, I did hear that we were getting a sequel to this show, but I didn't think the casting would happen this way. I am going to be talking about The Office, yes, the US version of where everyone's in the office messing around, creating fires. I love that show. I think it's hilarious. But we did get confirmation on the sequel show that actually the actor Oscar Nunez will return in his role as Oscar Martinez. And this will be in Peacock's new spinoff show. And he's supposed to be a part of the show, it sounds like, and that it is an ensemble cast, so he won't be the main character. However, he will be in the show for a majority of the time. Are you actually interested in seeing him return to this role? Because if he's returning, it looks like some other people may return in cameo roles or for a couple episodes as well. And I think this is going to be better than I thought, hopefully. I don't think Oscar was the best part of the original show by any means. Honestly, my favorite was always Kevin, but he is returning, which means that we potentially could be getting other actors added onto the show that we've seen before. Are you happy that this is actually happening, or are you mad that we're actually rebooting this show or doing a sequel with it? Let me know in the comments below, because I feel like this is going to be very mixed discussion. Last year, Warner Brothers announced a new film in the Lord of the Rings franchise, and this is actually The Hunt for Gollum. Now, we did get an interesting update saying that this movie was actually going to be delayed another year, which means it's going to be out in 2027 now. We didn't get an official release date, it just said it was going to be delayed a year, which is probably a good thing because the last one flopped at the box office really bad. It did not make much money at all, and I think they're just trying to save that IP from going to any other people's hands or any other production studio's hands. And honestly, if they're going to keep using it the way they are, I'm not excited for this movie by any means. And I think they're probably using this time to rewrite the script, make it as good as it can be before they actually send up the movie. Because a lot of people are not just interested in the Lord of the Rings franchise anymore because they're being burnt out by the Rings of Power and more of these other aspects of the Lord of the Rings franchise. Again, I'm not a huge fan of the Lord of the Rings franchise, so I could care less, but The Hunt for Gollum has been delayed. What are your thoughts about this? Now, if we're wanting to talk about movies that really nobody watched, we're actually going to be talking about The Beekeeper with Jason Statham that released at the beginning of last year. This is an action movie where the Beekeeper is basically someone that goes in and just annihilates everyone, sort of like a John Wick or a Nobody movie. And I had fun with it. I didn't think it was anything amazing, anything fresh or new, but it was a solid, no pun intended, B action film. And I didn't think that they were going to get a sequel with it, but we got it announced today that there is actually going to be a new Beekeeper film. And I'll be seated in the theaters. If you've seen it, what are your thoughts on the original ones? If not, are you interested in another Jason Statham action movie, or are you just kind of done with it? If you're a fan of the 2018 Crazy Rich Asians movie, I have some interesting developments for you. There was originally supposed to be another movie or an actual sequel to the 2018 film. However, it just never happened. And so we got interesting information the other day that there actually is going to be a sequel, but it'll be a show on Max. Now, it also, I say sequel, I say that loosely though, because a sequel means that they're probably going to bring back the same characters. This one, that has not been confirmed whether the original cast is returning or not. It could be a completely different family, but we are getting another show and it'll be on HBO Max. What are your thoughts? For those people that love those movies, I think that it would have been better if it was on the big screen. But anyways, that'll have to do for you guys. What are your thoughts on the Crazy Rich Asian movie and that the sequel is going to be on HBO Max? With The Monkey coming out very recently, we actually got a first look at Osgood Perkins' next film, and this is called Keeper. Now, I'm going to read it to you because I don't know much off of the top of my head, but this movie is going to star Tatiana Maslany, who is actually the mother in The Monkey, so she's returning with Osgood Perkins, and we also got an additional cast member named Rossif Sutherland. And so what happens here is that the movie itself will follow a couple celebrating their anniversary in a remote cabin where Liz, who is Tatiana Maslany, discovers the horrors once Malcolm leaves abruptly. Now, Malcolm is Rossif Sutherland, that's her husband, and so it'll be really interesting what he's hiding from her, and I just like the sheer concept of that movie itself, so I will be seated for this. I'm wondering if this will be any better than Longlegs was or The Monkey was. I did say I liked The Monkey, but on a sure movie level, I was kind of disappointed. But I love the comedy, which made it all the better for me. So I'm very interested in seeing what he does with this next film on October 3rd, 2025. Now, if you're wanting to talk about slasher films or underrated slasher films at this point, I would say that my most favorite underrated slasher film is actually called You're Next. This takes place where a girl goes into a house with other family members, and then someone breaks into it and tries to kill the whole family. And it's super interesting to me because I love slashers, kind of like this vibe. And so I went in not knowing really what was happening and ended up loving it. So if you're looking for a slasher film to watch, this one would be it. But I was always interested on whether or not this one would get a sequel, and it turns out we won't. So if you want to see the first one, go ahead and watch it. The last time I watched it was on Amazon Prime, but we did get information on what a sequel would look like. So if you actually are interested in watching this film, I would say skip forward to the next section and then come back to this review after you've seen the first movie. And so this is the snippets for the second film, if you care. Our sequel idea, which I'm glad we didn't do, was the notion that Erin would be arrested. She'd be basically blamed for the murders due to her jarring Australian accent. A jury would railroad her. She'd be instantly sent to prison by the corrupt American judicial system. While she's still chained to all of these prisoners, the prisoner van gets attacked. So it's gonna be kind of a Cutthroats 9 thing, where she's chained to a bunch of other prisoners and they all take refuge in a meth lab near the accident. We were gonna use all of the meth lab booby traps. Basically, my point is it's really good we didn't make this movie. It would just make it the first film a lot less. So, turns out I was actually not interested in a sequel film at all. I'm actually really glad they didn't do a sequel to this film. But if you're still looking for a really good slasher film, I loved this film, especially when I didn't know what was going to happen. And there's a twist, and I love twists. So, there you go. You're Next. That is your next watch, and I'm super excited for you to check it out. With Mickey 17 coming out, we have a lot of information on Bong Joon-ho's next film. However, everything I'm about to say is completely speculation, and they have talked to him, but nothing is confirmed yet. So if things change, don't come back and hate on me. But there is some interesting information, and right here it says his next film is actually going to be a horror action film taking place in the subways of Seoul. Right there, I'm already hooked. I wonder what is the horror part of this film. Is it going to be a zombie apocalypse? Is it going to be vampires? We don't know, but I am very interested to see what this new movie is. And he did say that this movie he's been thinking about since 2001. So it's been over 24 years in the making, and I think now he wants to pull the trigger and do it. I'm excited for this, but what do you think is the horror aspect of this movie? I'm interested to see all of your thoughts and theories in the comments below. All right, the biggest topic of discussion this past week was actually over the James Bond franchise. Now, I never really cared for it and have never really wanted to watch the films. I am going to, however, when they release the next one, but until then, I'm still kind of waiting to see more films. But there was a really big discussion this week when that actually Amazon has now full creative control over the James Bond franchise. Now, originally, the owners had a lot of creative control over the film. However, they've since stepped back and said, you know what? We're just going to let Amazon run with it. We're still going to own it. We're going to get money off of it. But Amazon's going to have full control. And if you asked me earlier this week, I would have said, oh, no. Because that just sounds terrible. We've all seen how these Marvel projects, these Star Wars projects, have all gotten worse because they've let a studio control it. The studio is more for about making money, so we think that they're just going to rinse all of these projects. But then I heard that Christopher Nolan, after he filmed Tenet, which was one of his action films in 2021 during the pandemic, he was in talks to actually do a James Bond movie, and he wanted to. However, the owners said no. Which, if you're telling Christopher Nolan no, who are you wanting to take over your franchise as the director or as the person playing James Bond? I have no idea, but telling the greatest director at this time in our world no for James Bond is crazy to me. So I'm kind of happy that they did step down. Now, again, they will probably rinse the property. Amazon will probably rinse the property. But telling Christopher Nolan that he cannot make a movie is crazy to me, especially when he just won Best Picture. And again, this was before, but man, he's one of the greatest directors of our time. So let me know what your thoughts on about Amazon having full control over the James Bond franchise. because to me, this whole situation is just insane. Speaking of best directors of all time, Martin Scorsese's next film will actually be starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Emily Blunt. And what it says right here is actually this is a new crime thriller that follows an aspiring mob boss who fights rival crime factions for control of the underworld of the Hawaiian Islands. And this sounds really cool because we're going to see crime in Hawaii. And what they said is that this is The Departed meets Goodfellas, and I love that idea. There's a lot of cooking right here, and I can't wait for this next film. However, a lot of people are against The Rock joining this film. He's not had a lot of goodwill with us in the past, especially after Black Adam saying that he's the whole hierarchy of the DCU is about to change. And he's kind of just gotten cringy at this point from a lot of people. But if he's trying to become a more serious actor than we realize, I'll give him a shot. I'm not completely sold yet, but I'll give him a shot. I like this idea of the Hawaiian Islands, the underground, trying to wrestle for control, but I'm not completely sold on The Rock yet. Let me know what you think about this movie and the idea of itself. I actually really did like this idea, and I can't wait to see what this movie ends up shaping to look like. Another interesting project I briefly wanted to mention that we did get some information over is actually Steven Spielberg's next film. Now, there's no plot or anything like that we know about just yet, but we did get some casting information as well as a release date. So these are all the people that are going to be in the cast. We got Emily Blunt, Wyatt Russell, Coleman Domingo, Colin Firth, Eve Henson, and Josh O'Connor, which is a super stacked cast, which is really good for this film. And then we also got a release date for June 12th, 2026. So there's a lot looking up for this film. It's about a UFO, and so I'm super interested to see what Steven Spielberg does, especially because he's returning from other projects. This is his first sci-fi project in a while. I'm excited for it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Real quick, we did get a bunch of trailers this week. I actually included this in a segment of itself because there has been a lot, and I don't have time enough to talk about all of them, but I did want you guys to be aware of certain projects as well as learn about a couple of projects you might not have known about and you go and look into and you feel like, man, I want to watch that now. So here are a couple of trailers that I looked at that you may be interested in for the upcoming year. This first one is actually called Freaky Tales, which is an action movie starring Pedro Pascal. The next one is Fear Street Prom Queen. This does not take place during the Fear Street trilogy that we had on Netflix as well. This is more of a sequel or a prequel, and this is just about prom night, which is another story in the Fear Street universe. Bring Her Back, which is a new horror film from the directors of Talk to Me. We also got another trailer for another simple favorite, which is a film starring Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively. Then the next trailer we got was for Havoc, which is an action film starring Tom Hardy. The next film that we got a trailer for was actually a Minecraft movie, which is based off the game. I don't think this one really needs more introduction. Next film that we got a trailer for was Death of a Unicorn, which is an A24 horror film with Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd when they kill a unicorn and the unicorn kills back. And then the last one that we actually got that I thought was somewhat interesting was a movie called The Assessment, which is a Magnolia Pictures film where Elizabeth Olsen and Himesh Patel live in a dystopian-esque world where they have to have a test to have a child, and so they have to go through a bunch of parenting tests to see if they're worthy of having a family. Now, I really don't have to introduce to you why I'm actually talking about this one on its own. There has been a lot of controversy with the new animation style that this movie has gone through. I'm gonna say I like the Shrek films. I don't think that the animation is as bad as everyone's saying it is. I do agree that the faces are a little off and that this could use some polishing, but I don't hate the animation, and I know a lot of people do. So I'm not as heavily guarded on the animation as most people are, but I just want to state my opinion that I don't think it is as bad as what everyone's saying it is. And honestly, this new film, we did get a new casting update with Zendaya. She's going to be playing Shrek's daughter named Felicia, and I think she's a solid actress. I'm not a huge fan of her, but I think she'll do it really well in this role. And what I have heard about this film is actually that this movie is going to be more of a dad and daughter story where she kind of resents the dad and he wants what's best for her, but they have to find a mutual understanding. We've seen this trope a lot of times. And then another really interesting update I actually heard was that this actually might be a multiverse story. We're still doing multiverse stories. I don't know why, but this one actually may end up being a multiverse story. That is not 100% confirmed, so don't quote me on that. But they did say that there is going to be a lot of universes and they might go to a different place, like what in the Puss in Boots end credit scene where Puss in Boots was somewhere else and then he started shipping off to far, far away. So there's a lot of things that we could look forward to in this film. Right now, I'm not going to get into the heated debate of what the Shrek animation looks like. I don't think it's as bad as everyone's saying it is, but I want to hear what you have to say about the animation instead. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know, because I've heard a lot of different opinions on this. Moving on to Harry Potter, we did get a couple of pieces of information that were kind of interesting to me. The first one we already kind of knew about, and that is that John Lithgow is going to be portraying Dumbledore. I don't love the casting. However, I don't think anyone's going to love any of the casting of this show. So I think that we should all just kind of wait. The first movie casting and all of the characters with that is just so iconic that there's just going to be a lot to follow up with this show. A lot of people are going to be mad no matter what about all of these castings. So give the show a chance before we actually hate on it. That is my first piece of advice. The second part that we actually got that was more interesting to me is actually they said that there is going to be 8 hours of time that they can use to explore the books of Harry Potter, which means that this show actually might be 8 episodes. Now, I did look back into the first Harry Potter. The first Harry Potter is about 2 hours and 37 minutes, which means we have about 5 hours extra to dive into this first book. I don't know if we need that much, and I think that they're going to add some more stuff that we might not usually notice. But I am actually interested to see what they do with the show. Again, before we get mad in the comments about the casting, I think we should give the show a fair shot because everyone's going to be mad about the casting no matter what, including me. I'm not a huge fan of what they just did, but that's my advice for this show. Let me know what your thoughts are about this new Harry Potter reboot show on Max. Moving on to the Marvel side of things, and we did have a lot of information come out about Spider-Man 4. Now, what they said here is that Spider-Man 4 actually did get pushed back 1 week, and this is because if it was on its original release date, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey would have been released 1 week before, and they would have had to split the box office, and no one really wanted to do that, so they actually moved Spider-Man 4 back, which if it was any other superhero movie, I don't think they would have done. But since it was The Odyssey from Christopher Nolan, they did push it back 1 week just so they can let the air breathe in between the 2 weeks, and so that Tom Holland can be seen in The Odyssey, and then maybe people are wanting like, yeah, I liked him in The Odyssey, let's go see Spider-Man now. And so I think they're going to use that as more of a marketing ploy than anything. The next piece of information that I actually sadly believe, and I say sadly because we did get confirmation that this next film is actually going to be a multiverse story. And so this new information that we did get saying that Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox will not appear in the new Spider-Man movie. And this was from Vincent D'Onofrio himself, and I do sadly believe it. I know actors lie about this all the time. However, since this is going to be a multiverse story and there's going to be a Doomsday going on in between and Secret Wars in between, I don't think we're going to get them in this new Spider-Man, unfortunately. I wish we did, though. Let me know what your thoughts are on this new Spider-Man news. Are you excited for it? Are you still nervous that it's still a multiverse story? Let me know because I am very interested in having a discussion about Spider-Man. For a few of you that have actually watched Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, like myself, I want to talk about an interesting update that we actually got, and that is that the second season of this show is actually going to be coming out next year. Now, I do think it'll be late next year. I don't think it'll be this early, but it is coming out next year. And they also did say that they want to have one of these shows or one of the seasons of the show come out every year after that. And they have a 4-year plan for the show so far that they could honestly extend. So there's a lot going on there. Let me know if you've seen the show. Did you enjoy it as much as I did? As well as, are you looking forward to the next couple of seasons? Moving on to Daredevil Born Again news, and I am super excited for the show to come out this week. And honestly, we did get a very, very, very strong first reactions for the people that have seen the first 2 episodes. Now, no one else has seen the full rest of the show. Everyone's only seen 2 episodes, and everything looks very positive for the most part, except for the CGI was like the main complaint I saw. But they have started filming on the 2nd season, and it did get confirmed that instead of doing 9 episodes this season, they have shrunk it down to 8 episodes. But there's a potential of the show carrying on past these 8 episodes. The next piece of information is that Karen Page actually is returning for the 2nd season. Nothing about Foggy yet, which is really suspicious to me, but Karen Page is returning. And then we also got the additional cast member of Matthew Lillard going into this Daredevil show. So I would love to hear all of your speculations on what he's actually going to play. What character is he going to play? Because I think this is going to be a really good 2nd season of this show, especially because of everyone's praising the 1st season. I'm excited for it. What are your thoughts on the casting below? On a bittersweet note for me, I actually have gone on record and say that The Punisher is one of my favorite shows of all time, and I love Jon Bernthal and the role. And so there is a lot of speculation saying that we were actually going to get a Disney Plus show of The Punisher, and this was going to be a sequel off of the original Punisher show, and I was super, super excited. Instead, we're getting a Marvel special presentation of The Punisher, and honestly, I'm glad we're still getting Punisher. Don't get me wrong, I love the character. However, I wish they would at this point just given him a movie or something, because an hour-long episode of The Punisher is kind of disappointing to me when I thought we were going to get a full show. A lot of people won't really care, and they're going to be happy about this anyways. But like I said, I'm a huge fan of the show. It is what it is. I'm still excited that we're getting more content from the Punisher himself, though. What are your thoughts on this new development on a Punisher special presentation series? Just this past week, if you guys have been looking into my videos or any news outlet, you would know that a bunch of MCU projects have gotten canceled. One of these was the Nova show that was speculated. The other one was a Strange Academy show. And then there was a Terror Inc. show that no one asked for. But we also got a new development on another show that was canceled, and this one is the OKOYE show. Remember at the very end of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, she actually broke the Ross character out of prison with her new Midnight Angels suit, and she was supposed to have her own team. She was supposed to get her own show, however, that's not going to happen, and I'm okay with it. I don't think we really need to see what actually happened after that show. If anything, they'll give it the answer to us in Black Panther 3, and I'm okay with just seeing her there. But what are your thoughts on this show getting canceled? Another super quick snippet I really want to talk about. This is actually the Thunderbolts, and there's really not much more coming out about this project, but we did get a speculation of a runtime, and this was 2 hours and 20 minutes. Now, this isn't the final confirmed runtime, but as of right now, it is at 2 hours and 20 minutes, which I think is perfect for an ensemble film like this. I'm super excited about this movie, even more excited than a lot of these other projects that we have gotten released recently. So let me know what you think about this runtime. Since we're talking about ensemble films, we got to talk about the biggest one, Avengers Doomsday. And as I was filming this video, a lot more of fun things to talk about actually dropped. I had a couple of topics to mention about this, but then we got a whole load of concept art that has just been dropped and ready for us to view. I don't know if this video will be taken down from it. If it will be, then I will just cut that part out of this episode. But we got to be talking about Avengers Doomsday. So the first part I wanted to mention is that they're actually going to be filming in the UK this April. Yep, this April it is going to be filming. And that is something super exciting. They did get a bunch of cast members starting to show up and make an appearance in the UK. Like Chris Hemsworth was there at one point. We also did get a good conversation with Chris Pratt saying that he is actually going to return in the project. This is what he said on the Saturday Night Live, I believe. There was a promise that a legendary Star-Lord would return, and we're going to make good on that promise, is what he said. So that'll be a lot of fun. The next person that came up that was having a conversation with was actually Tom Hiddleston. And Tom Hiddleston said that he actually does not know what projects he's going to be in. He's gonna be in it. There's no way. He's the one above all right now. He's going to break the multiverse in some sort. He'll be in it. I'm not shocked when he gets announced that he will be in it. However, as I was making this video again, a lot of concept art just dropped. So now we're gonna get into the concept art. So as you guys are seeing on the screen right now, this is the new concept art for Avengers Doomsday, and it looks like God Emperor Doom is going to be the main villain. Now, we did know this, but we also thought that they wouldn't go full Doctor Doom like they should have. This is the version that it looks like we're getting at this point. We also, onto his left, have an evil Doctor Strange. He is basically more of the magician that'll actually be helping Doctor Doom get a lot of work done in the universe. Bad work. And then to his right, it actually looks like Sue Storm and Reed Richards' child, Franklin Richards, are standing there next to Doom. I wonder if they're either married or if they are just kind of just there to be slaves. No idea what's going on there. It looks like, to me, this is just speculation. This isn't a lot of information to go off of, but it looks like Reed Richards is the one kneeling in front of them. I could be completely off of that, and you guys can tell me in the comments if I'm wrong below. That would be great. And then it looks like the person holding the slaves' chains is actually Yelena Belova, working for Doom as well. So there's a lot going on in just that image right there. The next image we got to talk about is actually this Hulk one. This one's super interesting to me just because if you look around them, this is more of the Latvian Doom style of a castle, which makes sense. However, there's also way more Hulks in this timeline as well. So this kind of looks like a World War Hulk type of film. But I think that Doctor Doom did something with the universe to make it more multiverse where something else is happening. I'm not really sure what to make out of this picture, but you do see it all in the picture that Hulk is there, She-Hulk is there, and they're looking at Scar, which is Hulk's son. So it does look like there's a lot going on right there. The next image right here is actually looking at Damson Idris as the Black Panther. Now, this isn't confirmed casting just yet. It just does look like they used him as a concept art reference. So it doesn't mean that he has been cast just yet. Wanted to clear that up. But this is what they are saying, that they're going to age up the younger T'Challa that we've seen in the past Black Panther film. Are you excited for him being finally aged up to where we're getting an actual new Black Panther? Also, I really wanted to note that his costume looks really, really cool. That's all. I just really like the costume. The second to last image that I actually wanted to talk about is this image right here with all of the Young Avengers. Now, if you can see, we have Miss Marvel there, we have Wiccan, we have Speed, we have Stature, we have Kate Bishop, Chris Pratt, and Wong, and then we have someone guy named Droop or Drop on to the right. I read comics. I don't know what he actually does or who he is, but he's there as well. I don't think this image will come to pass, however, because we still have not been introduced to the Speed character. So maybe this is a Young Avengers project in the future, and that these two, Wong and Chris Pratt, are actually leading the Young Avengers team or babysitting them. I'm not sure, but it doesn't seem like this image will come to pass. Who knows though? This might actually happen. So this is the second to last image I wanted to talk to you about. The last one I want to talk to you about is actually Emperor Doom. This is just the best look that you can have for him, and I really do enjoy this look. There's a lot going on here with just his costume, and it just means a lot to me that they're not just copying over an Iron Man design and making the Iron Man armor the Emperor of Doom's armor. I don't know. I just think that would have been lazy. So I am excited that this image right here, they have the actual Emperor armor. Now, we did get some more information that this whole story is actually going to be based off this 2015 Secret Wars comic book, and I am actually excited for this. I don't know. The Russos, whenever they have things like this happen to them, I can't help but feel excited for all of this. And knowing that it's all coming very quickly is super exciting to me. There is a lot of talks behind the scenes or rumors that this film might actually be delayed. And I think that it should be, just because there's so much going on with it. But you get images like these and I feel like a little kid again with all this Avengers stuff. So there is that information. So let me know what you think about this Avengers Doomsday concept art. There is a lot more that didn't show, just because either it was A, not a part of Doomsday, or B, it just didn't really mean much and it was more character designs. But there is a lot more. If you want to go check that out, go on Twitter. I'm sure you could find it easily right there. They have been taking stuff down, so if this part of the video has to be deleted, It will be eventually, but there is a lot going on with the Avengers franchise. Let me know who you would want to see on the Avengers Doomsday roster as well. We have finally come to the last franchise that we are going to be talking about today, and this is, of course, Star Wars. There's a lot that has happened this past week, and a lot of it that I actually have to read to you, but we did get confirmed that Kathleen Kennedy, the person that is running Lucasfilm at this moment, she was supposed to be stepping down. However, she has come back and said she is actually not. There is that, and then we also have discussions over Sean Levy's new Star Wars project, as well as Taika Waititi's next Star Wars project, and finally Andor. So there's a lot to run down through, and let's just get started with the Kathleen Kennedy stuff. So earlier this week, Kathleen Kennedy was announced to be stepping down from Lucasfilm in her position, and then she came back and said that she actually wasn't going to be stepping down. But before then, everyone was speculating that Kevin Feige was actually going to take her role, or Dave Filoni. There's a lot of rumors throwing around out there. But once she said that she was not stepping down, she did have a meeting with Bob Iger and Alan Bergman about her succession. So she did confirm that she has had talks about her moving on. However, she wants to produce Sean Levy's next project, as well as the Mandalorian and Grogu film before she goes. Now, you hear this and you're saying, oh, she only wants a couple more projects, but this is where it gets interesting, because when we talked about Sean Levy in the last news section, he actually said that he wanted to do a Dungeons and Dragons show with Netflix, and that it was supposed to be starting later this year, which means the production of his Star Wars film might not be happening anytime soon. So we might actually have Kathleen Kennedy longer than what we expect. But since we're talking about Sean Levy already, let's go ahead and get into the discussion about his next project. This next project will star Ryan Gosling, and it will be its own standalone movie. This is not going to be a start of a new trilogy. This is just going to be a one and done movie. We also were told that this is going to be set 6 years after episode 9. And so this is going to be 6 years after the Rey movie. And then the last piece of information that they did say is that they could have sequel characters return. There's not many people that I'd want to see return from the sequel trilogy. I'm not really in love with what they did with those films, so if no one does return, I'm okay with it. The one I would say most is Finn, because they did him dirty, but that's essentially what we got there. Nothing else on that. But the next project I actually want to talk about is Taika Waititi's Star Wars movie. They announced this years back before they did Love and Thunder, and Thor Ragnarok was still kicking around, and a lot of people were really excited about this idea. However, after Thor Love and Thunder, this has kind of just fallen flat in everyone's mind, and no one really wants to see this anymore. But they did say that he has to actually turn in the script before they actually go through with it. So there is no script yet for this film, which means that it's possible that this movie just doesn't happen in the first place. If it doesn't, though, are you okay with missing it? Or are you wanting to see it really bad? Are you still a Taika Waititi fan? Let me know in the comments below. And finally, we got to the last topic of discussion for this week, and this is in fact Andor Season 2. Now, if you remember, we got a trailer earlier this week, and I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the first season of Andor. However, the first 3 episodes were very slow and very hard to get into for myself, but I did get into it, and I enjoyed the first season so much. Now, we did get confirmation as well with the trailer that each 3 episodes are going to be 1 year of casting Andor's life. So that means every 3 episodes we get is going to be a year, and we're going to get 3 episodes released every week starting on April 22nd, and they'll go to May 13th. So there's going to be a lot to watch as a Star Wars fan every week. I'm super excited for this show to finish out and lead into Rogue One. I loved this first season, so I'm excited for the second one. Let me know if you've seen Andor and what is your favorite part of the first season. Like I said, that was a lot of movie news that has happened this past week. I've actually made 3 different videos out of all the news that has happened this past week. So if you liked this video, go ahead and support my other 2 videos. And I really do appreciate you guys watching through it until this point. It has been a lot of work for me. I am trying to figure out some more details and more ideas for movie content. So if you guys have an idea, listen in the comments below because I want to hear what you guys want to see. And I'm super thankful for you guys for watching this video. Thank you so much again. And if you've made it to this point, go ahead and subscribe and press that like button because I really do appreciate you guys for being here and joining me on this journey. So thank you so much again, and you guys stay safe out there.